and you
I'm
can't.
not touching their stuff.
And
I have no idea.
You don't know?
No.
Okay, then we're off and running with our experts.
During
I've
the
been having a wood
C-word
shortage.
process, well, that can happen as you get older in life. Come on, man. This is a joke.
You put cologne on your butt? Well, so in order to play, you have to wear jorts.
I don't have Jordan. I could probably wear a Speedo now.
Want to do that? No, you probably could.
He'll be over here tomorrow digging out a big-ass bush.
Sonny and share, like and share, whatever.
Yeah.
Just something and share.
Yes, hello. Here we are, Studio G, for another edition of Gamble and Finn's Larger Than Live. I'm Gamble, he is Finn, and we're back together again. Look, it even rhymed. How clever is that? But we actually are back, and this is season 2, episode number 4. So this is our second one in Studio G. We've had one where we were sequestered by COVID protocol, and then last week, just poor forecasting. Did I say Fordcasting?
Fordcasting, yeah.
Forecasting. Well, might as well be, whatever the hell it is. Could probably find somebody at the local Ford dealer who could do a better job forecasting than the meteorologist. But here we are.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. You look like you're dressed. I mean, so I'm dressed because we're getting to the 50s.
Well, I am dressed for the
50s.
weather we just came out of. You are dressed for the weather we are getting ready to ideally slide into. I mean, you're looking just a couple days. We're going to be in the
Right.
40s, 50s, and
yeah.
the rain knocks some of that snow out. And so very exciting to know that hopefully the groundhog has finished. He actually did a better job of predicting what was coming for the rest of the winter than many others did. So at least we're seeing the end of that. And the episode is actually called We're Moist, but that's only because our art department can only fit that on the graphic.
Right.
Really, it's what we miss moist is what we're looking forward to as we get into the spring. So you're dressed for spring.
I am.
Any
Well,
chance to put shorts on above
That's
40
exactly
degrees?
correct. Well, I've actually, even though go below 40, it depends on kind of wind chill and brutality of conditions, and how much I'm going to actually be outside.
Well, that's the thing. I'm one of those guys. I'm that dumbass that has on cargo shorts all the time. People are like, why do you wear shorts so much? Because 95% of the time, 98% of the time, I'm in a climate-controlled
Correct.
environment that is around 70 degrees, which is what I would wear shorts.
Well, the other thing for me, too, is, I mean, you have to say, most of shorts today, you can't find a pair of shorts that come above the knee. So
Right.
really, I'm only like from the lower part of the kneecap to the ankle is all that is exposed. That doesn't get cold anyway.
But
Right?
you don't utilize yours the same way I do. I wear the man purse shorts, the cargo shorts,
Right, you can put
because
all
I got
kinds of
so
stuff-
much crap
right.
in.
Oh, I got to be
outside
honest with you. I have a couple pairs of these type of kind of athletic shorts that don't have pockets. Sometimes I'll put them on to go out, and I can't because where do you put everything?
Right.
I mean, I struggle with that. We've got lots to get to though, and just some interesting and some just it's from the ridiculous to the absurd per usual. Correct?
Well, right, and I think as we talk about the weather, which we'll get into here in a little bit, but we're looking forward to the point where we go from Studio G back to Studio. What do we call that? What do we call that? The
we've
back
already forgotten.
40.
Back 40.
The back 40.
Back 40, but we had another
the
Oasis.
Oasis.
There
the
we go,
Oasis
Oasis. Hey,
Studio O.
There we go.
When
All right.
when we can be outside as well.
Yes.
So again, utilizing all sorts of different office space. Again, that's the whole reason we tied in with the folks at Fueled Collective, because you have opportunities to use any different space that you want and accomplish the same deal. If you got business to take care of, check out Fueled Collective. And it's not just in Rookwood Commons here. If you're watching locally, they're franchising around
Yes,
the
they
country.
are.
And if you have a Fueled Collective or something like that in your area, I'm going to tell you, you're going to start seeing more of those, not fewer.
And remember, if you were wondering, yes, the renovated first floor bar is open.
Yes, it is.
The grand reopening didn't go so good because of actual snowfall and inclement weather. They'd have been better off having it last Tuesday. But that neither here nor there.
Yeah. All right. So now, based on last Monday's episode,
Yes.
and
yes.
the episode of the show and the episode that I had,
Would you like me to kind of set the stage
yeah,
for this?
feel
since-
free
okay.
because honestly,
So we did this. I made you do this at the beginning of last Thursday's show, the reality check on 700 WLW, Thursday evenings, 9 to midnight. But this is really where the initial angst emanated. So it's only fitting that you do a proper and make sure the apology is well thought out and actually is very, that you mean it, that it comes from the heart for your disparaging last Monday. So let's set. So last Monday, in anticipation of course, the snow that never came in the time frame we were recording the show. You could have come over and done the show and been back home, but we didn't want to take that risk. We don't want to put you in harm's way because sometimes you don't pay attention to where you're going and keep your eyes on the road, which you didn't heed the warning of the newscasters. So we thought we'd just do it virtually. Well, we had a little problem. Actually, you and my lovely wife, who's our entire production crew, spent 3 hours trying to figure out why the hell you couldn't get the camera to work.
My integrated camera on my new laptop, which I purchased last September. Yeah, September's for just such an occasion.
You can take it from here.
All right, so
this should have been. I know we're going to get to it later, but this should have been your show.
My show and tell, right?
Yes.
Well, okay, so the bottom line was we were getting set up, and we've had, multiple Zoom calls,
right? Absolutely,
different things, and we've got different, different formats, the way we can hook up and do the show together and whatnot. But for whatever reason, my integrated camera did not seem to work, and I thought everything's there. What was it? 3 hours. We spent 3 hours. I uninstalled security software,
right.
And it's just nothing. It was just a black screen, black screen, black screen. Is there a cover over your webcam lens? No, there's a dot. It's a light on. There's the camera. It's right under the latch for the lid for the laptop. That's it. Nothing. 3 hours completely wasted. So I came on last Monday.
You did.
And issued a not so veiled threat to the people at the service department at the counter of the place where I bought this.
Now, you had intended, though, before you were going to go there, you were going to try and resolve it, correct? Via a phone call if possible, and then
I was basically last Monday. I said, if I come into your service department, there's one of two things that are going to happen. You can go back and check the tape. You're either going to go boop, fixed, or you're going to have to hire someone to dislodge it from your wall because it's going to become a throwing star, not unlike one you would purchase in Pigeon Forge. So instead, I thought, you know what? First of all, I tried to call to make an appointment. They don't take appointments.
Oh, and did they answer the phone?
No, the phone picked up and said, "We'll get to you as soon as we can. You can get a lot done on our website. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, you can do a chat. You can do this or do that. Whatever. We don't take appointments. It's walk in. So and so." So I thought, well, you know what? I got nothing going on in my life. I'll just see if I can wait you out on the phone. So 45 minutes in, after being told for the 45th time that I could also do this online, I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can hook up somebody online, which I did. Travis or Trevor or Braden, Jaden, Graydon.
You should at least remember his name because he's this person who solved your dilemma.
There's probably some girl in South Korea, but whatever.
Probably was.
So I type in, I'm 9th queued up in line. I found my receipt. I found my purchase order. They had all the information or whatever. I typed out very concisely what my problem was. We even determined, it looked like the camera was trying to work.
Right.
But that's what irritated me is nothing would work. And it looked like it was trying to, but it wouldn't. I said it, I hit send, and then you see the little dots, so you know they're doing something. Let me check. Beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, 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 boop. Still on hold on the phone, by the way. I haven't hung up yet. So they come back and said, you said it's a Dell. Yes, it is. Up by your camera, is there any sort of cover over the lens? I said, no, there's just this low shit. Hang on for a sec. No, I'll be damned.
And there it is.
That's not a latch for the lid, which I've never had to unlatch in my life. That's an actual slide for the camera. It's a little lens cap. So I was lens cap guy.
The old lens cap.
After 3 hours wasting your lovely wife's time and my time, there's a little lens cap right there, kids, on the top of your Dell that looks like a latch that was on my Lenovo. I did have a latch, but there it is right there. So I was lens cap guy.
So,
the old lens cap.
Oh, what would you like to say?
I would like to take this moment, this opportunity, to apologize to all of those at Micro Center The one here and all the ones around the country.
Yeah, sure.
Because
and even overseas.
I don't know my ass from a hole in the ground. And so when it comes to computers, so for that I apologize. Please take this apology from the bottom of my heart. And
Boy, it's heartfelt,
thank
no
you
doubt.
for your I'm still on hold, by the way.
Right,
for
of
a
course
service
you are.
call.
Well, and you laugh. You would be.
I got on hold on Wednesday. I've used up all my data plan, but they may want to address that issue. But you know what? I told the guy, at least I'm not cup holder guy. And
Right.
he or she laughed out loud.
And you don't realize one thing you said previously when you were explaining what you tried to do. The phone picked up. I love that because that's what happens today.
Yeah.
A person doesn't pick up. The phone picks up. By the way.
And they have no
Yes.
interest in talking to you at all. They
Oh,
are
none.
waiting. They
Oh,
are pushing you as
well-
hard as they can to get to online service.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you for every call that I've made to any financial institution, to anything, just trying to get information, trying to check on something, while you're waiting, they give you that for quicker results. You may want to log on. I don't want to do, if I wanted to, I know that you have a website. Right. I get that. I've probably already been there. That's the part of it that irritates me.
Right.
It
Well,
is.
and if somebody were to get on, have you ever done the thing where they say, well, if you don't want to wait, leave your phone number and
that's a
we'll
joke.
call
No,
you
they're not
back
gonna call
in the
back.
same order in which you called?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on a service call from 2004 from someplace where I put myself in the
now
queue.
I will tell you, one that I did where they did that is it was Duke Energy. They had to come out and they had to put a new type of meter in, and I called and they sent me a little card. I called the number and I got the recording, left it, and they did call me back within no time. But let's be honest, that's very, very rare.
Yeah,
I
what
mean,
I
it
think
just
I
is.
heard Lori mention off camera that I was probably on hold with Circuit City
right.
in 2004, and that went well for them.
Well, just in case you know,
I'm still on hold. They're out of business.
right.
They
I was
still
gonna
haven't
say,
picked up.
They don't exist anymore, but somebody might get to it at some point.
All right, so we spent way too much time on how stupid I am. Let's talk about other
Okay.
stupid things.
Where do you want to start there?
You want to start with the weather?
Well, sure, we
Since
might
that's
as
what we're
well,
kind of
right,
coming out
yeah.
of and heading into. You're going to be, I think, faced. I live in Milford on the Little Miami, so I think the drainage is going to be a little
boy.
better when all this is finished
Sure.
melting. It's going to be a sloppy mess here.
It is. Well, and both you and I have dogs. You're in a little bit better situation because I think you send Calvin out to he has his lead in the out front, right? So you have a much better tracking system of his dung. And isn't this sad? This is where we are in our lives. One of the things we have to be concerned about this week with the temperatures rising, the snow melting, and the moisture setting in is how quick can we pick up the dung so we don't step in it? So
Yeah.
I've got it. It's a debate between the three boys, but I've got that extensive backyard, which fenced in. But the problem is there are some low-lying areas. So like there's one that comes like right off of the driveway, like literally it will be a swamp for weeks. I mean, it'll be for weeks. And the other issue
Hopefully,
is
it's not a sewage treatment plant.
to my knowledge, it's not.
Okay.
The other issue is from just and this is sad, another sad statement, from watching Fidge take a dump out the window. Not that I sit and watch, but like
you are bored.
But yeah, it's been, man, I'll tell you what, it's been a long 12 months of COVID, my friend. But here's what I would tell you. A lot of times dogs go in the same area. Like they'll pick like a certain part of the yard. Not Fidge.
No.
She just fires
Spreads the
and
love.
wherever, and which makes it even worse.
See, mine's become a little bit of a geometry problem, and maybe somebody in engineering can do this because I have the lead, it's attached to the front porch, and it kind of comes out and does this arc like this. And he can only go in this kind of piece of pie right in there. So I need to
Piece of pie is an appropriate phraseology.
Figure out the amount of poo that gets in the pie because I don't really know the pi r squared dimensions or any of that, the geometry of what's going on. So the volume that is possible in there. Now, what I have been trying to do when I see him and he drops a Duke on the top on that like light ice layer and it's freeze dried, I try to go get it
right.
Get it while it's freeze dried.
We had, so what our custom, I can't believe
Thanks
we're
for
actually,
tuning in, by the
yes,
way. Aren't
hey,
you
hope
glad?
you're enjoying the program today. But I would tell you, this is how bad it is for us. So one of the boys typically is the one who gets most of it, puts it in the bag, ties the knot, and then throws it over the fence to where, like by the garbage can, because so you go back out.
Fence.
So during, when it was really cold about a week or so ago, I noticed that there was a bag, not thinking what it might be, on the ground. that thing was frozen solid, and I bet it weighed 15 pounds. And I thought to myself, really? This is where I am. 57 years old.
Look.
And I'm picking up frozen dog shit.
Well, here's the thing I would tell you. Who's the idiot in this relationship? The dog's not walking around behind us picking up
Right.
ours.
No,
you
you're
know
correct.
what I'm saying? So I'm glad when you said threw it over the fence and it wasn't going over the back fence.
No,
Otherwise,
no.
We're not doing any shows outside.
No,
this
right.
summer when it starts wafting.
Wafting this, yes. Well, you know what? You did give me an idea, though,
What's
right?
that?
I don't know. That's that area back there is just kind of.
No.
Wait a minute, though. It's supposed to be good, right? It's good for the soil.
Then just leave it where it is.
Yeah.
Don't even pick it
Well,
up.
no, but we walk in the yard.
All right. Well, fair
All right,
enough.
we're done with that. Let's move
So-
on. So basically, we're back to the weather and the fact that and we discussed this last Thursday on the show, and it's just, and I think we can all agree that we're okay with forecasting, right? Are you
Yeah.
okay with them?
Well, to a degree.
Okay.
Don't overshoot your mark and don't try to forecast something you don't really have any idea what it is, and that would be specific inches
Yeah.
of snow. Because all you're doing is setting yourself up for failure. If, like I said, Thursday night, and it doesn't sound any better when I say it now than when I said it then. The difference in my life between 3 inches and 12 inches isn't really that much.
Right.
If we're going to have 3 inches of snow, or we're going to have 12 inches of snow, the same protocols come into play.
They do.
What I'm like you, I just tell me if there's going to be ice.
Ice
that
is the worst.
I am smart enough to understand bridges and roadway and overpasses freeze before roadways. I get that.
But the other piece for me too is, just give me an indication of whether it's going to be a dusting, kind of somewhere in the middle, or it has the potential to be significant, but it's okay to say we aren't really sure. That's not incorrect. Isn't
Right.
that accurate?
It could be 3 inches or more. That's really all I need, because I'm not going to go, oh, well, I was going to go out if it was going to be 4 inches, but if it's going to be 5, I think I'll stay in.
I'll give Kevin Robinson on News 5 on Wednesday into Thursday. He had 3 blocks. It was 1 to 3, 3 to 6, and I guarantee you the last one was from the previous 2 days, 6 to 12 percentage. None.
Big zero. Yeah.
None.
Well, and there was a lot of, you noticed too, and we talked to Dardis about this on Thursday, there was a lot of anger and vitriol being spewed forth on social media because most people are losers. And that's what you do now when you're mad about everything,
Right.
which is ironic, I'm sure, coming from us. But I think just people's frustration with being told things they don't know whether or not they're true or not, it's finally spilled over, and this is an easy target. You know what I'm saying? It's unnecessary, but some of them were backpedaling in the middle of the storm.
Correct.
Which was just as sad, because then if it did come in and hit, then what do you do?
Well, and the one phrase that happens all the time that I can't stand is just if you don't have to go out, stay home.
Yeah.
I mean, like, really? I mean, I can make, you know what?
Well-
I can make that decision for myself.
And you also made the analogy or the comparison between that and the COVID. You know what? You're exactly right with regard to that as well. With regard to, we're going to open restaurants. We're going to let restaurants that know what they're doing and do it properly, we're going to let them open, because guess what? If you're not comfortable driving in snow and you're not comfortable going out to a restaurant because of the potential COVID exposure, don't go. No one's making you go. I understand that in snow, sometimes you're like, well, I have to get to work. But anymore, now you don't.
Well, you don't,
You can
right.
figure out a way. I mean, there are certain tradespeople that are out there busting their ass, fixing heating and cooling and water and plumbing and electric and things like that. Absolutely. And that's, I think, for that sort of thing, it becomes very important. But I think those businesses have figured out over the years how to measure that.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because we have an event that I'm working on planning now for the end of March, right? And so what I did today was I picked a sampling. I picked 20 coaches, and I sent them exactly the date that we're looking at, and I sent them 2 questions. Will your school allow you to attend a function like this? And would you feel comfortable and be interested, and do you plan on attending? And I've gotten back to this point, I think, of the 20 already, like 12 or 13. And there's only been one that said they weren't able to attend, and that was because they simply aren't able to get out of school. It didn't have anything to do with protocol or anything like that. All of the others said yes and yes, because what we wanted to do was, before we spent all that time planning, we wanted to make, like, are we going to plan for something that no one's going to show up to?
Right.
And I would tell you, and I think you'll agree with me, people are very, very interested in getting back to it. And that doesn't mean not doing the things you still need to do, but they're just ready to start living again.
Well, again, but still, you have to, as the event organizer,
No
we
question.
saw that with the flying pig and the different, those things. Don't necessarily want to plan an event where you think everybody's ready to go, and then everybody says, well, somebody else will go, and then no one goes.
Right.
And so I think, and moving on, I think I can only hope, and we talked about that article from the Wall Street Journal, maybe with the COVID stuff and all that there may be this exhale that can come in the spring, but it is going to be spring, summertime before that happens. So if we can just keep it together for just a couple more months, I feel like we may be on the cusp.
So what's the next? What's the next? We've got St. Patrick's Day. I'm trying to think of what's the next.
That doesn't stand a chance.
From the blame game, from what's going to be that. Now, I will tell
nothing.
you.
Politically, it's done.
You think we're done with that?
Oh, yeah.
You don't think anything's going to be
we saw,
because of that?
What were the other statistics? And over the last 6 weeks,
correct,
we've seen a 77%
that's stunning.
decrease in cases.
Right.
6 weeks. What's happened 6 weeks ago?
And these are sources. You're talking about Wall Street. You're quoting like legitimate media entities that are reporting these numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think from that standpoint, you're not going to see, it's almost as if it's following a script. And I still haven't wrapped my head around what part of all this I believe and what part I don't. And I still kind of feel like there's this whole thing. It's like, hey, everybody, look over here.
Right.
Look over here. While all this is going on, something's going on down here. And we're going to find out the hard way what that is. But again, that's the tinfoil that's under my toque
you have
here.
a lot of tinfoil.
Speaking. All right.
And by the way, be remiss if we didn't promote. We have a great guest every Thursday night at 9:20.
Yeah.
Dr. Jim Horn. If you want to hear from somebody who just answers questions quickly, and I think you would agree, is not afraid to just give you an honest answer. He works for St. Elizabeth Healthcare, and he's kind of our COVID expert, and I think he does a really good job. We hit him with a ton of questions in about a 10-minute segment, and I think if you had 9:20 on Thursday night on 700 WL.
And sometimes we clip it and tweet it out if we remember, but most of the times we don't. But we'll try to. Okay, he's Gamble, I'm Finn. We're here at House Gamble Studio G. Larger Than Live continues. This is, we've done 4 episodes, but this is officially only episode 3, the We're Moist edition. So I think we've gotten all of the precipitation and the discussion of how wet it's about to get. That would be the yards and whatnot. Yes. Let's move quickly because I know we have a lot to get to, including a couple of interesting show and tell items. One of the things is that the weather sort of reveals a little bit more about what we've talked about with regard to personal responsibility and cluelessness. And then that dovetailed the last time we were on LW into victimhood. I don't know if we'll get to victimhood or not. That might be a whole other show.
I think we save that one. I think victimhood needs its own little timeline.
The cluelessness though, with though we haven't had snowfall like this for quite some time, but I mentioned a scenario. Let's just say, and you said you'd never work under these circumstances, but let's say you worked for me. And we opened up our business every day at 8:30 in the morning. And the snow was predicted to be as bad as it was predicted, and was as bad, and then predicted to be bad again. And then the next day, where would you be on a weekday at 8:30? Where would you be?
I would be at probably around 8:20. I would be arriving at the workplace, getting ready to go. And I would tell you, if I had any question about whether or not the next day we were going to be open, or what sort of parameters we would need to follow should there be really bad snowfall, I would have contacted you the day before and said, hey, I'm planning on being there at 8:20, but should something change, or should you need, let me know, or is there anything I need to know?
Or perhaps you might keep an eye on your messages for a message from me, the person in charge of letting you know that. So what you're saying is, and if I get this correctly, at let's say 8:35 on that same day in question, I wouldn't be getting a text from you saying, are we open today?
I would have already been into the shift doing whatever it is.
Exactly. But I'm telling you, there's more and more and more of this. It's this, I'm going to put all of this on you, and if I don't show up, it's on you. And if I don't make it, it's on you. And then when you want to write me up, or you want to discipline me, or God forbid, you try to tell me the policy, I'm going to have a fit, and I'm going to stomp and snort and pout. And that's the thing. It's just symptomatic of some of this other nonsense that we're going to get to here in a minute with regard to Mini Finn back at school, that and I don't know if anybody realizes just how badly the everybody gets a ribbon, everybody gets a trophy thing has gotten.
It's so
But
bad.
I have the perfect example for you coming up.
Well, I didn't tell you this one yet. I was out somewhere and was talking to someone who worked at this place, and I'm going to give their age because I think it's pursuant. They're 22 years old.
Okay.
And I asked them how long they'd been working at this particular establishment. They said, I've been here for 7 months. Oh, what'd you do previously? Told me where they worked previously. And I said, oh, what happened there? Went into, this is a person with a college degree. Not that that matters, but I'm just saying, went to college, got a degree.
In theory, should know.
In theory. So basically, they were asked to work extra hours. So they were working anywhere between 40 and 50 hours, 5 days, not 6 or 7. And this person told me, there's just no possible way I can do that. Literally, I couldn't do that. And this person said, by the time I got to Friday night, I was done for the weekend because I'd put in between more or less 50 hours. And I'm thinking to myself, oh God. I mean, but that's where we are.
Yeah.
So it seems today, correct me if I'm wrong, where somehow we've reached a point where an entry-level employee thinks that he or she can set the parameters for what their job entails.
Yes, and after a very short period of time, and again, this is the fist shaking at the sky thing, but I think if we don't address it, and I don't think you and I are coming at this as the two old men in the Muppets box, it is a problem that's going to manifest itself in businesses failing.
No question.
If this becomes your leadership structure. And it's the thing where, okay, somebody comes in, and I dealt with this at a place that I worked at recently. Someone comes in fresh out of school, maybe high school into college, whatever, does a couple of things, and then those things go well over the course of 2 years, has 1 or 2 home run shots that they call.
Which good for them.
Yeah, which is great.
For them.
And that's the sort of thing you want to build on and encourage.
Sure.
But then all of a sudden they think those are the only 2 things they've ever had to do, and they should be senior vice president in charge of that thing forever. It's from basement to penthouse, and the elevator is unnecessary.
It's the old line, you can't be the CEO until you've been the entry-level employee. Now, I want to ask you about this when you had people working for you. How often did this happen? Somebody who works for you didn't do something as you had intended them to do it. So you weren't a jerk to them, but you just pointed out and said, hey, look, man, this isn't how... and most of the time it was a lack of attention to detail. That isn't how we do things, whatever. Then did you get the pouting and the going off and
The shutdown.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
But again, that's because everybody wins. Everybody gets a trophy.
I know. Oh,
and
yeah.
you
can't
didn't
admonish them like that.
Because they didn't keep score.
Right.
How do you know how well you're doing if you don't keep score? And we just keep cycling back to this same issue. Oh, don't use a red pen. It hurts their psyche. I mean, these kids
can't put F.
Every one of these kids, you can't fail.
No,
My child doesn't fail.
Right.
Honestly, the only way you understand when you win is that you knew when you lost.
Wait, what was the one? Remember it was a school district. It was last spring when they went all virtual. You got either pass or you got, I still remember. It wasn't
didn't complete.
Oh, it was
something like
but
that.
That isn't what it meant. The funniest part for me is in class for me. The worst thing when I tell students, I don't care about your grade. Oh my God. They look at me like, you don't care about a grade. I said, now you can care about your grade because you're the one who should. What I mean is I care that you learn. Right. It isn't about, at the end of the day, whether you walk out of here with a B, a C minus, and whatever, that's not going to determine if we're successful. It's can you use what we talked about in here.
No, absolutely. And as a adjunct professor at NKU and higher education and the whole thing, you're really supposed to be training them to, figure out how to live and benchmarks against which they're going to be measured. Because again, the people that are hiring are still us.
No question.
So, and I know there's not a lot of 19-year-olds watching right now. I'm sure you'll be hip to our snazzy social medias and our podcast, which is available on iTunes, by the way. Both episodes, which right now is is basically just a replay of the show for your earballs.
Getting to more.
Yeah, we'll get some more content, maybe a few more rants. I have a feeling that's going to be your speciality.
And wait, you're almost forgetting something. We're going to address youngins. You and I are part of the NKU Business Week.
That's right.
More details coming in late March. We will be talking to
the utes,
soon to graduate seniors and talking to them the way they really need to be talked to,
Right.
honestly.
Yeah, a couple people are going to cry, and it ain't going to be you and me.
Well, this will be a one-time. I mean, I've
I'm
already
sure it will
chalked it
be.
up as
I'm sure it's a one and
okay.
done.
Just get through the segment time, and then I'll probably never be teaching again. This will be it.
I'll be there to be on your last
Right,
day.
yeah, it
Whoop,
will be.
tater. So I don't even remember what we were talking about. But, the social media, again, Apple,
Yes.
iTunes.
Podcast.
I know there's another place that does podcasts. Off the top of my head, I can't think of it.
Podbean.
Oh, Podbean. And then there's another one I keep hearing about. And for some reason, I can't think of where it is. But you'd think you'd find our podcast. But anyway, also don't forget to smash the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And I think that's where I'm going to start. I got to figure out how to start putting little videos on there because I have an idea I'm going to run by you and see if you think it. But I think it would be a good idea if maybe I started going on and doing children's science fair projects and see if I can do them.
Well, we need to.
Yeah, we'll do that up on the YouTube channel.
We need to talk about you putting any videos up before you do it.
Yeah, well, I'll be fully clothed.
Well, it's not
Anyway.
even that. It's just subject matter. It's the way it's the way it's presented.
Well, maybe we'll have to run it through legal.
Yeah, right.
All right. So anyway, we got all
Yes.
kinds. The Twitter, Gamble Capital N Fin, all of the Instagram, which I know you're in charge of. Instagram,
and
Paul.
on TikTok.
TikTok, all the TikTok videos
Right.
that you've been doing are outstanding. I think TikTok probably refers to our lifespan more than it does our videos.
Lance liked that, by the way.
Yeah, that was pretty
He
good
did.
stuff.
He enjoyed that.
So anyway, all of that stuff's out there for you. Again, Gamble and Fin, Larger Than Live is this show. We do the reality check Thursday nights or whenever they invite us on 700 WLW, the nation station.
By the way, you haven't
big one.
commented on how good my lower white legs look.
That's
today.
because
You like
they're
those?
not showing up on the monitor.
Oh, okay.
It's
good.
like you look like Oscar Pistorius, like your legs just end at the end of your.
Oh, that's
At
now
the end
that's
of-
that. See now that's see.
Well, except for
that's-
you're not in
no,
prison.
that's the there is that. Things kind of went sideways and then some for old
Yeah, they-
Oscar.
yeah, they
But
did.
see, that's the kind of thing we just can't afford. We're trying to build followers.
I don't think there's a lot of Oscar Pistorius fans that are mad at us right now.
Wasn't that one of the weirdest? We're getting way off of this,
Well,
right?
I heard a bit about him on the way over here from a comedian, and he said she went into the bathroom and it wasn't like he could kick it down because he would hit it and shoot out the window. So anyway, what is what it is.
Now wait, he killed
He killed his girlfriend. Yeah,
Right.
like one of the hottest girls
right,
in the world
right,
because he
yes.
found some texts
Oh,
from a
that's
rugby
right.
player or
That's
something
right,
on her
right,
phone.
right.
And again, not making fun of anybody in
No,
particular. It's a
no.
horrible situation,
It is.
especially for him.
Yes.
Anyway, all right. So YouTube channel, we got all that stuff. Now let's talk about the Utes. You're teaching the Utes at
Yep,
MKU.
I am.
I have my daughter who is now sacrificing not just her senior year in high school, but her freshman year now in college.
That's a good word. It's been a sacrifice.
It has. And
This is unbelievable.
I would tell you this. She went to school at this institution of higher learning. And middle of August, she
Right.
came home for the holidays with
Okay.
no breaks in the middle of November. So August to September to October, November. So 3 months.
Okay.
She was home for November to December to January, almost 3 months.
Okay.
And just went back 2 weeks ago.
Right. Now, bear in mind, when she was there in the fall, too, she was in a hotel.
Living in a
Right,
hotel
living in a
that had been
hotel.
converted into dorm
Dorms,
space for
right,
this university,
right.
and one in-person
Okay,
class the
all right.
entire semester.
Okay.
Back 2 weeks ago. She's been back on campus for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And she goes until probably late April, early May. So she will have been home for Christmas almost as long as the entire second semester. Okay.
And duly noted, despite no in-class, despite doing all this, there's been no reduction in tuition, housing, any of that. It's been 100% what it would be.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then I received this yesterday. Dear families at said university, next week on Tuesday, and I looked to see if there's anything saying I can't share this. To be honest with you, I don't care. Next week on Tuesday, February 23rd, we're going to be observing a self-care day for all students. Here's the note that we sent out to the students. Next week, we'll be observing the first of 2
Okay.
self-care days for this term. Staff and faculty have been encouraged not to schedule meetings, classes, or assignments on this day so that you can rest, relax, and focus on taking care of yourself.
So what have you been doing for the 3 months that you were off over the winter?
Yeah. or the entire time that you're locked up in your prison cell, also known as your room and your pod, with the people in the hotel that you're still paying for. I encourage you to spend some time doing things you enjoy and that make you feel positive, happy, and resilient. Whatever it is that recharges your energy so that you can do COVID safely. If you're looking for a little inspiration, and then there's a litany of, go to this, go to that, self-guided, this doesn't even sound like they should be saying this to these guys, self-guided self-care activities.
Safer by yourself.
Yeah, and our partners are also offering self-care kits and hosting Smash mobile rage rooms. Those places where you go in and start smashing stuff out with a baseball bat.
You need to get us. I want a self-care kit.
One of the self-care.
She has access,
well,
right?
I'm going to tell you something right now. Each one of these better be worth $200 because that's how much we're pissing away.
Now,
so that they can just sit and drink more beer.
I want you to go back. I want you to go back to the beginning of and there's a key word in there that would be very interesting. You'll have to ask Minifin about this. Read me the first line in the one that was sent to the students.
Next week, on Tuesday, February 23rd, we will observe the first of 2 self-care days for this term.
Now read me the next sentence.
We've been staff and faculty have been encouraged not to schedule meetings, classes, or assignments on this day so that you can rest, relax, and focus on taking care of yourself.
See, now there's your academic freedom. You notice they can't make them, are being encouraged to. Here's what would be interesting. Will any professors go, what the hell, if I were one? Because, again, are encouraged. They're not going to, they can't mandate. They can, but they haven't. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love to be the professor to go, what the hell is this?
Oh, there's always one. We're having class.
I'd be interested. I'd be intrigued for Minifin if she are they allowed to speak to anybody else on the campus?
I don't have any idea. And as always, if you are in distress, just hang your American flag upside down. We'll come get you. If you're in distress, please contact and give a phone number at any time to speak directly with a clinician. And please continue to reach out to me with your suggestions on how we can encourage and support you this term.
This is an institute of higher education. This isn't a daycare center or some sort of a clinic for people. I mean, look, I get it. I can understand completely that people like your daughter and people like our youngest with the virtual learning at the high school level. I get it. This is not fun. This is not easy. It sucks. I tell my class that. But come on, man.
Well,
this is life.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
What is the thing that they need the most? If they are having a problem right now and, twisted up in their coconut, what is their problem? I'm isolated. I'm by myself. No interaction. So now what we're going to do is take all of the forced interaction away, and you can just sit and ruminate and stew in your own agony.
Yeah. I don't get
further down. How about do this? How about take your arena in which there is no basketball being played and saying, we're going to have 3 days. You get assigned to one of these days where we're going to put a third of the student body in each day. We're going to have some sort of rah-rah, sis-boom-ba, something. Everybody's going to walk out with a special 2020 only thing that only this class will ever have.
Yeah.
And you do something like that makes them feel like they're not trying to figure out if they can get their windows open.
Do something unique where it's different and it's something where they can say, you know what, man, we needed that.
Yeah.
Do you need this?
No, this is what you're already doing. This is what you're doing. All you're going to do, they're just going to pound on Netflix a little more than they are, order more pizza, drink more beers. And honestly, that's what college should be about. When you're there on a normal schedule, you should be able to do that and make that kind of a highlight thing. But now I feel like, and they're also just saying, for people, maybe they're not having such a hard time, self-care for what?
No, and you know what?
Should I be more concerned than I am?
When you hear that, sometimes maybe you go, "Well, man, by the way, you just made our self-care kit. Beer, pizza, and Netflix.
Exactly.
If they will deliver that, we're in. I'm in.
Well, let me tell you something.
I want more than 2 days.
I'm going to tell you something right now.
Yes.
That's not my self-care kit. That's my resume for the last
No,
year and a half.
I was going to say, that's your daily regimen. Maybe not pizza.
Here's how bad it is right now, Fred.
Oh, boy.
I've come to love Jet's Pizza.
Right.
I'm a very big fan of Jet's Pizza.
Right. The four corner, right?
I have come to appreciate the let's just say the
I know what one of the other
fiduciary responsibility that is now a 30-pack of Natty Light.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. You're very frugal with your
I've become
beverage
very
choice,
frugal,
right?
and the bourbon, I can sip on the bourbon, so I've kind of pared that down. I'm almost at the end of Netflix, however.
I was going to say, we used to have a joke with a guy we worked with one time that he never did anything. I'm like, he's got to be at the end of the internet by now. You're close with Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
where do you go now?
Well, here's the problem. I decided,
Discovery Plus.
and this is and this is your wife's revenge on me. I saw her recommend a show, and I'm like, well, this is one of the only things left. I'm going to watch this, and it's called Bridgerton.
Okay.
And I want to curb stomp every single person in that show except for 4. There's a woman and her son, the Duke. There is a girl who is more of a tomboy girl, and I don't even remember her name. What's her name? Olivia or Ophelia or some
Can I
other
ask
thing.
a question?
And then the 4th one is an opera singer who may be one of the hottest women I've ever seen.
Can
in my
I ask
entire
you
life.
this? Let me guess. Does the show take place? Is it British in nature?
It's and I don't have a problem with period piece things, but all this is, it's the same exact scene over and over and over and over and over. And I thought, if I lived like this back in these days, all you did was go to balls, and then not one person in the show has balls. They're just going to them the entire time. And it's just the same show. And I'm like, I can't stand any of these people. I watched every single episode all the way to the end. I know exactly who Miss Whisperface is.
Now,
What's her
why
name?
did you watch that?
Because I don't have anything else to do.
Well, you know what?
Other than
let
having
me tell you.
conversations with Calvin, and he's starting to talk back and make more sense than you.
I'm going to give you more things to do because this is troubling.
Well,
And by the way,
show and tell, yeah.
Okay, but quickly, I'm damn near out of Law and Orders and NCIS, New
Oh,
Orleans, and
boy.
Chicago PDs too. It's bad.
Well,
I'm
you know
getting
what
to
the
end,
good news
so-
is, you can
yeah.
start over, and then you can help solve the cases because you have extra.
Well,
extra
here's what I'm going to do.
insights.
I've watched them just mishmashed, and when they appear on the networks, now I'm just going to go back to the very beginning and watch them in order.
I'm telling you right now, if you have not watched Blacklist,
I haven't.
go.
Is that okay?
Oh my God!
See, I've still got a lot
7
to watch.
seasons, 6.5
okay.
seasons of that. You will love it. If I could be anybody else, I've always said there's a couple people. If I could ever come back as somebody else, it would be Dr. Seuss,
Okay.
Jim Borgman.
All right.
Or now it's kind of a toss-up between Robert Downey Jr. and James Spader. James Spader in The Blacklist is the guy that I would love to grow up to be if I ever grow up. I mean, from the clothes to the way that he phrases things, the whole thing.
Well, I've not watched it. I'll have to watch that.
You'll love it. From
Hank
the very
Voight.
first episode.
I want to be Hank Voight.
Hank Voight. We need Hank Voight here in town to clean up our city council.
Oh, he would. Trust me.
All right.
All right, show and tell time.
You ready?
You want me to
show
go
and tell?
first?
Well, now we have to allow
we
hold
do.
for a
My
moment
bad.
for the
Oh,
intro.
yes, hang on.
We didn't pay the big bucks for this for nothing.
No, right.
Outstanding. Why don't you go first?
Okay. So I was thinking, I had a couple choices, and I was thinking, and I'll show them. And Reds spring training is underway.
Yeah, pitchers and catchers
Pitchers
reported.
and catchers have reported, so we're getting ready to
This
do
is
all that.
awesome, by the
well,
way.
this is brought about by basically the wife forcing me to unload some of the shelves for some of the shelves.
Some of the shelves.
So what I did was they were taken out, and she just set them on the floor, and I put them in massive piles, and I have to determine
In
what to
another
do with them.
room?
But I figure, hey, big look. We can hope, right? And I'm, optimistic, red leg. So here you go. This would be the 1970, so the big red machine, right? This will be the 1976 yearbook, the
Nice.
program of the Red Legs. And here is an actual program. Look, it's protectively covered. The World Series 1976, when the Reds swept the New York. And I've got all kinds. I go back to the 60s. I've got a lot of really cool Red stuff, but I went to these.
Yeah, I was at those games.
I mean, that was the thing for
we
me.
came up from Louisville.
Right. It started in the 70s. It's 70, 72, 73, and the Mets championship series, and of course 75 and 76. So I've got a very good sampling and collection. And that's what made it cool is that I attended these.
Yeah. Well, my dad and I would come up from Louisville with
same
his
here.
boss and his kids, and we'd walk across the Roebling Bridge, when it was open. And that was a big thing for us. That's where I learned to eat peanuts in the shell, Fred. One of his sons
Did you?
would just throw it in there and eat the whole
love me
shell. And
some
I'm like, can
peanuts
you
in
do
the
that?
shell. Yeah.
And you do, and it does.
Look, if you're drinking beer, what the hell difference? It's
the
less
trick.
hassle and just fire it down.
Absolutely. But it was fun. And I saw a picture after the Super Bowl, And it was a picture of Sparky Anderson at 43 next to Tom Brady at 43. Sparky looks like he's 75.
Oh, I know he
He had the
does.
white hair. He had the whole thing. It was just dumpy physique.
And let me give you
But, man,
newsflash.
no better manager in the world.
Smoking however many packs a day, that probably contributed to that. Yeah, the
Tom
most
Brady's
memorable.
smoking.
And I
life.
presume I have a program, but I haven't gotten to that shelf yet.
Really?
The freezer bowl, my dad and I.
Really?
Went. Oh, yeah. And I'll never forget that because our next door neighbors, they were massive hunters. So we put on all our clothes, and then I wore the big hunting suit.
Nice.
And it was,
You look like that kid from, what's the Christmas story that falls on his back and can't get up?
I could have been that if I had gone down. But I still remember we parked down right by Longworth Hall, not where they do the tailgating now, but like along on the street there. Walk, because you wanted to move. I mean, at least when you moved, you had a chance of not freezing your ass off. But that was so cold. But it was worth it.
Yeah.
And I think people today would say, "Are you kidding me?"
Now, you were at the freezer bowl, I think.
Yes.
300,000 people claim they were.
Right. No, I legitimately was, and I'll find that damn program and show you.
Were you at 4192?
4192.
Were you at that game? Because that's another one where 4 million people were at that game.
No, that was the one. So I had to think because 4192 is the hit he got off of Eric Shaw of the Padres. He dumped it in the left field.
Looped it in the left
yes.
field, yeah.
We had seats. Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
we did because my dad used to have access based on his job at the time. And yes, we had seats. But it was happenstance, though, because if you remember, nobody knew when. So we just happened to have that. It wasn't like we had because some people bought like 10 or 15 games in a row, assuring that they would be there. We just lucked out that we did.
Wouldn't that suck if your last set of tickets ran out the game right before?
And you know that happened to somebody. You know it did, yes.
Well,
all right, what do you have for me?
All right, so this is a 3-parter, all kind of worked around the same thing as part of show and tell. And this goes back to my days with you at 96 Rock.
Yep.
I was the program director and got to know, I've been friends with for a long time, Barry Gable with Belkin Productions up in Cleveland when I lived up there. Did not realize how instrumental he was in working with Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Okay.
He and Paul O'Neill and Kenny and a handful of other guys really kind of took this thing. I mean, because you remember Paul was in Sabotage.
And not to be confused with Paul O'Neill with the Reds.
Although nice segue from baseball.
Right, there you go.
But he was in Sabotage. They were a metal band, kind of a progressive metal band or whatever. And then they honed in on this Christmas thing and they nailed it. They got it right.
Yeah.
So then they took it and just blew it up exponentially to multiple sets. So they could be in Europe and they could also be touring the United States. And it's all Christmas based, a lot of it, but it's huge production. Every show is a Kiss show on steroids.
I've never been and always wanted to go.
It's really
I've
something
just never
to see.
been.
It really is. But so they asked if we wanted to have TSO in, and you were there, I think.
I was. No, I distinctly remember this.
Yeah,
yes.
And Paul is a long-haired guy, still wears the tour jackets. He's old school rock, and it was cool. So we had Al Petrelli in, who was his second in command, and then a couple of the singers from the show, and they came in and they were very nice. It was great, and we didn't play any TSO on the radio station, but up on the screen you will see what arrived in the mail for me shortly after that, and this is a platinum record, like you see on in every movie. Every record guy has these hanging on their wall.
Yep.
And it was a platinum record with my name engraved on the little plaque. Thanks for helping us get to this many millions or whatever. I'm like, we didn't spin that record one time. Right. I didn't do anything to deserve this. But that's who that guy. We got jean jackets with the stitched TSO
I remember the jean
logo
jackets.
in the back.
Yes.
All kinds of stuff. And so when they actually, I take that back. I got the framed record, and then when they came in, I got them to sign the glass. So you'll see the signatures, and I was smart enough to write on the back who it was that signed it because I didn't remember. And I thought, well, that's very nice. I mean, he's old school, and that's pretty cool. And then I thought it was funny because I'm like, well, we don't play the record.
Right.
Well, the next time a record came out, this shows up in the mail. Presented to Mike Finn Walter to commemorate the multi-platinum sales of more than 2 million copies of the Lost Christmas Eve. So the next record, too. I haven't even opened this. I never even opened it. I'm like, we don't play this one either. But I got this. But that's how old school he was. Anybody that was in his Rolodex
that's cool.
or database. So
Yeah.
these things, I mean, you don't see these anymore.
No, you don't.
First of all, nobody's selling this many records.
Right.
And the record companies aren't going to spend the money to do these things.
that, right.
But
Oh,
they're
yeah.
very cool. But then the coolest part 3, is I got to take my daughter to see them, and we met Paul. And you'll see the picture here. It's up on the screen. And she was excited. She loved the show. She was probably 8 or 9 years old. And he looked at her and he said, "How old are you? What year were you born?" She goes, "Oh, 2002. He reached in his pocket like a grandpa. I thought he was going to get out some Werther's Originals, but he brought out like this whole handful of silver dollars, brand new silver dollars with different years on them. And he looks through and he goes, "I don't have a 2002. He goes, "How about a 2001? And that's what he did. He held those in his pocket for kids that were about that age. So he had a coin with the year they were born on it, and he gave it to her. And I've got to find it. I think it's probably in a safety deposit box somewhere. But I thought, that's old school
that's cool.
service. That's rock and roll.
That's what sucks about today.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's
those things that happened years ago like that, or what was, I don't know, that was just a different, I don't know.
You know the best thing about this, now that I think about it,
Is?
it makes me look skinnier.
Yeah, well, you keep it there while you're at it. Just
It's slimming this. Thanks, Paul. Well, Paul unfortunately passed away a number of years ago. But I would tell you this: that organization.
Do they still tour?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, are they still in? Okay.
Yep. They've
realize
done
right now they're
massive
on tours.
shows in Europe.
Yeah.
And they always would show up here with the Christmas show in Cincinnati, in November or whatever. But they would do 2 shows, and they always had a big charity component.
I remember.
Just a class act from top to bottom. And Kenny Kaplan was the guy that I got to know. And I swear to God, right now, if I dialed him up on my phone, he'd pick up. And he's in charge of all of that
It's
stuff.
funny when you were mentioning all that. I distinctly remember. For some reason I couldn't go to the show, but I remember the jean jackets.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And no one does that anymore.
Right
They
now.
were tour jackets like
Right.
the same ones that the crew wore.
Correct.
And they had this big gaudy tiger
Right.
logo stitched in on the back. But I tell you, this is old school, and you want to talk about learning how to do business.
Oh, yeah.
These are this. I mean, look how many years it is later. I still have this.
Yeah.
And we still talk about it, and I have fond memories of this and
Correct.
the entire thing. And I will support TSO as long as I can, any way that I can, as a result. So a 3-part show and tell.
And we need you to support us. We
Yes.
hope you enjoy. This is, again, Season 2, Episode 4. So make sure you follow us, Gamble, Capital N, Finn. And don't forget, and if you mentioned before about the previous episodes, they're all on our YouTube.
Yes, they are. It's actually episode 3.
It is?
Well, we had episode 0, which was our first COVID.
Oh, my bad. That's why when you said
We've
3,
done it 4
okay,
times,
right,
but it's episode.
I get it now. I'm a slow learner. It's okay. Oh,
I only do that just to mess with you because that's how we started season 1. If you
Correct,
remember.
we did. I do
Episode
remember that.
0
I
because
do.
we didn't know what
I
we were
remember
doing
that.
then.
So anyway, don't forget, check us out Thursday night, 9 to midnight, the Reality Check on News Radio 700 WLW.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and don't forget,
Yes.
we showed you these a couple weeks ago, but they're in. These are the
they are, yes.
cornhole bags.
There you go.
You got your 2 different kinds. You got your boys Fred and Ralph on one side, this on the other side, then the other
I
bag.
like the slick and the sticky, too.
Yep, that's an American Cornhole Organization
legit.
innovation.
I mean, this is legit.
Yeah, these bags are available at AmericanCornhole.com, as are professional Tour Series Gamble and Finn cornhole boards. So when we get closer to spring, I think we'll have a little bit more to tell you about those, and good way to break your spring fever. But
all right.
Anyway, so I think that's going to
There you
wrap
go.
it up
That
for
wraps
this
it up.
edition of Larger Than Live. It's been fun. Don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Lots more coming there and on the iTunes podcast. So I think for that, that's going to wrap up this edition.
right.
He's Gamble. I'm Finn.
And we are
Out.
out.